I feel like my entire life has been a long game of just learning how to focus on one thing. I am someone who knows how to do a lot of things really well, and I struggled with the burden of knowledge for a very long time in my life. I really felt cursed and blessed at the same time. It was like, why do I know how to do all these things? And why do I want to do all these things all at once, to the point where I don't even know what I'm doing anymore with my life, you know? And if you haven't watched my video on how to focus when you have multiple interests, you need to go check that out, because in that video, I share a very simple plan to help you narrow all your interests so that you can pick a particular interest. However, in this video, I'm going to be breaking down a very simple plan, like I always do, a very simple plan or strategy to help you focus on one thing at a time. This is day to day, week to week, month to month. Okay. For me, I struggled a lot with just wanting to do everything and doing everything. And because I had varied interest, I was always doing this thing that was completely different, and then transitioning my attention to this other thing that was completely different. And so not only was I stressing my brain out with doing too many things, I was also stressing my brain out with context switching, which is going from one specific thing to a different thing that is completely different from what it is that you started with. And so for me personally, I've gone through this entire process of trying to figure out how to focus on one thing at a time, especially with the distraction of my phone or the distraction of whatever else is going on. And it's probably the same thing that's going on with you. I want you to know that this can be solved, and I want you to relax through this process. Just grab a drink of water while we have this conversation, okay? Because it's going to be really good. Now, here's something that I've learned in my life, and I've become very humble to accept this truth. You cannot focus on more than one thing at a time. You have to direct your mind, your brain, to finish and complete a specific task, one task at a time. Even better, if you can, focus on one thing for a long, long time. I feel like we underestimate how much work is required to do one thing well. I used to be the sort of person who would write to-do lists. Like, my to-do lists were long for no reason at all. And at the end of the day, I'll be overwhelmed because I hadn't gotten through the list. And when I started to pay attention to my patterns and what it was that I was doing, I began to realize that I really was overestimating how much I could do in a day. And so I would have a list of all these many things, but they were really things that honestly, I could have done through the week little by little, but it just felt like that time in my life, every single day, I always was very motivated in the beginning of the day, and I wanted to go through a lot of things. And I instead of going through the list and doing the things I needed to do, I was going through the overwhelm of knowing that I had all these many things to do. And so, of course, that did not work out really well. But when I began to pay attention to my journals and I began to look at the list, I began to realize that I was trying to do things that will take 3 hours, plus things that would take 5 minutes, plus things that would take 1 hour. And they were all different things. And I was packing them up in the same day. Of course, it's difficult to achieve anything. So a quick example of that is I want to design content on Canva, and I also want to write 2 articles for my blog on the same day, honey. Or I want to edit a YouTube video, and at the same time, I want to batch 30 pieces of content for Instagram. Can you see how very annoying and impossible this plan is? It's just like, what are you doing with your life? And so I began to really pay attention to how time worked and how our attention actually works. As someone who wants to get things done, what I have begun to do in my life is I start the day with the most important task first. And I ensure that I spend the very first good, beautiful hours of the morning doing the thing that I need to sit through the day for, like the most important thing. Because if you start your day any other way, you're going to get lost in all the context switching that is happening in your brain. it helps if you have focused work done and dusted, and you can look at yourself and you can say, wow, I got that thing done. I got that done. Because the truth is, we cannot focus a long enough time as we actually think that we can. Usually we're able to focus for 4 hours at a time before our brain begins to get tired. Sometimes we can go for 6 hours, but even when you break that time in batches, you can focus for 1 hour at a time, and then maybe you can have like a Pomodoro timer and you can go like 1 hour, 1 hour, 1 hour, and then you have a 3 hour of focus work. But the whole idea is, in this time that you are focused on work, you are not allowed to go and start doing things like picking up your phone. So for me, I have dedicated time in the mornings and in the afternoons where there is no phone contact. I can't check my phone. I can't look at it. I'm focused on work for that time. A very, very great thing that you can also do for yourself is to ensure that when you are doing your work, you are doing your work, you're doing your work. You're not doing your work and then checking this, or doing your work and checking that. If you lock yourself in a time block, all right, time blocking is going to really change your life. If you lock yourself in a time block and you honor the time block, you respect yourself enough to honor the time block. If it's 45 minutes, stay through for the 45 minutes, because what you're doing in that time block is you're teaching your brain how to focus. Now, this is where it gets tricky. When we do a time block like that, we say we're working for 30 minutes, we're taking a break for 10 minutes. The mistake that you will make is to use your break time to check your phone. And you say to yourself, oh, I'm just on a break and I'm picking up my phone. You are creating a disaster for yourself. The outcome is not going to be pretty, because your break could be 5 minutes break, 10 minutes break, and then you pick up your phone for those 10 minutes, and 10 minutes become 20, they become 30. And before you know what's going on, it becomes difficult for you to get back into your time block on what it was you were focused on. So for me, when I take a break from my time block, I take a break to read, or I take a break to take a quick short walk and do some thinking and then get back into the zone. This is very important. In that time where I'm focused on work that is related to each other. I'm not grouping different things together. For example, I'm not having like a writing day at the same time as editing music videos or editing YouTube videos on the same day. You see, because those are two different things. But I can have a writing day as well as maybe a content scheduling day on the same day. And I can have a filming day. And so this is where batching your days come in. And this is a practice that I have implemented in my life, in different phases of my life. And every time I feel overwhelmed with my life, or I feel overwhelmed with work, I always come back to batching my days. I'm the sort of person who does different things, right? Like my work is so diverse sometimes that it feels like I am a different person when I step into that role. So for example, right now I am in my teacher role. I am in my content creator role doing this work right now. I am not in my music element right now. This is my teacher element, right? And so I have days where I'm just filming all the videos that I need to film for YouTube, or filming all the content for my social media. And then I have days where it's probably my music studio days, right? So think about your life. You may want to go outline all the things that you do right now and say to yourself, okay, what are the things that I could do that require me to spend a lot of time doing it? For example, batching your content for social media, that is a full day's work. And if you do it in a full day, you don't have to think about it for the rest of the week. This is a great way for you to focus your attention, your time, and your brain power to do one specific thing over a period of time. It's going to really help you because you're allowing your brain to create or to do a series of processes that are similar, right? So for example, when you're creating content on Canva, or when you're designing or something like that, that is something that you can batch up in a group, and you say, okay, I'm going to do this for this amount of hours on Tuesdays, and I'm going to do all of my writing for this amount of hours on Wednesdays. And by doing that, you'll be able to focus on that one thing and nail it for that time, instead of trying to do all those different things all at once in the same day. I hope that this helps you. These are like a couple of practices that are helping me right now. And every time that I follow through with these routines of waking up and going straight to the first thing for the day and focusing on work, because when you start your day like that, you allow your brain to actually practice what it's like to focus. I have come to understand now in my life that focus is in fact a practice. Focus is a practice. It's something that you have to train your brain to do again and again and again. And on the days when I stubbornly pick up my phone for whatever reason before I have gotten to work for the day, I have found that I just get lost. Okay. I just get lost in the scroll. I get lost in the feedback, all the things that are coming at my brain. And by the time I sit down to work, my brain is foggy. It's not nice. It's not fun. So one practice that is really helping me is getting up in the morning and choosing to read. So I read and I journal. I read and I write my thoughts down. If you've never seen the video where I shared about how to get answers from your soul, I shared this journaling practice, which is from The Artist Way. And in The Artist Way, Julia Cameron, the author, she says artists should practice writing every morning, just dumping your thoughts. I mean, generally we journal, right? But this is something that you do to empty your brain, to get all the thoughts out of your head. Whatever is in your head, just get it out. And so I do this practice where I wake up, I read, I journal, and then I get to work. Whatever the work is for that day, I focus in before I go and do other things. These are the things that are helping me right now. I hope that you can implement them for yourself. If any of this has helped you today, please drop me a comment down below so that I can read from you as well. And if this is the first time that you're watching any videos from me, hi, my name is Eva. It's nice to meet you. I hope to see you in the next one. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss it. If you want to have free resources from me, my ebooks, my guides, and other things like that to help you, check out the links in the description down below wherever you're listening or watching this right now. And I'll see you in the next one. Leave me questions in the comments. I might just answer them in a new video. See you soon. Bye.